Hurricane Gabrielle, still a major storm just towards the east of Bermuda, and we have several other areas we're watching here in the tropics today. I'm meteorologist Robert Speta here, always doing our best to not hype, give you the information, and kind of explain what we're expecting here with the extended forecast across the tropics, where we have two areas. One, a moderate risk just north of the Windward Islands, and another one, a high chance of development in the next 7 days, mind you, not immediately in the next 7 days. That one in red could be a higher chance just based on the guidance and the formation that we're seeing around the cloud cover right now. But with that said, let's take a look at the guidance, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Gabrielle, still a strong storm. This is your 5 a.m. update. 140 mile per hour winds moving towards north and east at 13 miles per hour, 949 millibars. But yeah, it is pulling away from Bermuda, and really that island missed out on the core of the storm. As far as those inner core Cat 4 type winds, yeah, no one outside of the fish are being impacted by this one. Now, eventually, though, the Azores and the west coast of Europe could be looking at some impacts. Maybe as this goes extratropical, could be more of a powerful westerly storm coming on through, but definitely some windy conditions in the forecast out there. Gabrielle, though, kind of interesting because, after this first intensified, it was slow to develop, but then it had that rapid intensification you could see here yesterday morning, and now peaked out and kind of riding that Cat 4 threshold. But do anticipate, as this dry air you can see in the western side of it starts to filter in, we're going to increase the shear as well, and that's going to cause this to continue to weaken out. Now let's pull back the picture, though, because we also have these storm systems, and you can see these two cloud clusters. One here just over the Windward Island, that's that moderate risk of development. We have another area just towards the east of that, that's that high risk. And then look at this little swirl. You're probably looking at that going, whoa, the phone, what is that? That's an upper level low located there just towards the north of Hispaniola. And that area, even though it's an upper level low, sometimes those can build down towards the surface. Now, there is some good news with all of this. You might be thinking, to the untrained eye, you got multiple systems. You're thinking, oh, what if they combine and you have a big storm? That's not what happens. In fact, they usually fight each other and they pull each other's energy away from each other, causing basically the overall area to weaken versus having one powerful storm system. See here with the GFS, now this kind of shows that type of setup here. It really kind of takes that weaker low towards the south, and you see kind of this big elongated pressure gradient. That would indicate more of just kind of this gyre type setup instead of a big tropical system type hurricane. Now, it's not until it kind of gets away from that the GFS is picking up on this tightening up a little bit. So as long as these two systems are kind of fighting each other, you're going to have that weaker trend. Now, the ECMWF, which is shown here, and also says GFS on the top, I have to fix that. Anyways, point is, it does show kind of a separate low forming away from this one. And this almost has two distinct systems because it keeps them removed from each other. At least at this time, there's still a lot of uncertainty. We have to see which one kind of wins out. If one storm wins out, and then it can kind of gather up all the energy in the area, and that would be the dominant storm, which basically the one towards the east looks like that's more likely, which would bring this closer to Bermuda versus the east coast. It really is one of those setups. And I know it sounds like I'm being wishy-washy here, but the whole point is to educate and explain everything behind the scenes with these videos. It is one of those setups where we really have to get a defined low-level circulation and have the models jump on that, get some good initializing data that would allow us to have a better forecast. What we know right now is that they're out there. We have this big dip in the jet stream that's going to act as a wall, so anything that does develop should stay well towards the east of the United States. My concern would be maybe in about a week and a half to 2 weeks out here in the Caribbean, if anything does develop and stay south of that big dip in the trough, which some of the long-range guidance does kind of pick on something like that possibly taking place. So yeah, there's plenty of outcomes here between this upper level low, our two areas of our two tropical waves, and of course Gabrielle. Plenty to watch out for, but at least at this time, let's not name the next storm, but I will tell you the next storm is going to be named Humberto. Then we would have Imelda, and then Jerry and Karen right after that. Some fantastic back-to-back names right there. Anyways, I'm meteorologist Robert Speta. Check out Hurricane Central at firstcoastnews.com if you want more information.